Καλησπέρα, είμαι ο Αλέξανδρος Μπεχράκης, CCO CTO της Lambda Helix σε Digital Realty Company. Θα ήθελα να ξεκινήσουμε με ένα σύντομο βίντεο για το Athens-3 για να μας βάλει στο κλίμα της αφορμής που σας καλέσαμε και πραγματικά καμιά ακόμη φορά ευχαριστούμε για την παρουσία σας. Θα ήθελα να καλέσω τον Απόστολο Κάκο, πρόεδρο, αλλά και ιδρυτή της Lambda Helix, διευθύνων σύμβουλο τώρα της εποχής της Digital Realty. Και θα ήθελα να θυμίσω, έτσι, είναι ο πιο αρμόδιος να μας πει για το Athens-3 και το Athens-4, γιατί το όραμα αυτό ξεκινάει, είμαι 10 χρόνια στην εταιρεία, το όραμα υπάρχει τουλάχιστον 5 με 6. Απόστολο.
Ευχαριστώ. Καλησπέρα και από μένα. Όπως είπε και ο Αλέξανδρος, ναι, είναι ένα όραμα που διαρκεί χρόνια. Και τώρα όμως οραματιζόμαστε θα κάνουμε το 2025, οπότε δεν σταματάνε τα οράματα. Καταρχήν, να σας ευχαριστήσω όλους που ήρθατε εδώ. Καλησπέρα από μένα. Είναι μεγάλη χαρά μας που είσαστε εδώ και ταυτόχρονα με την παρουσία σας έχουμε γιορτάσει νωρίτερα σήμερα, εγκαινιάσαμε την έναρξη κατασκευής του Athens-3, του νέου μας data center και ενός data center το οποίο είναι το μεγαλύτερο data center που έχει κατασκευαστεί στην Ελλάδα. Ταυτόχρονα είναι μέρος ενός κάμπους, το οποίο είναι το μεγαλύτερο κάμπους στην Ανατολική Ευρώπη. Άρα είμαστε διπλά υπερήφανοι. Να μιλήσω όμως τώρα λίγο για να σας βάλω ένα quiz για το 18-18. Αυτό λοιπόν το quiz δεν θα το βρείτε, γιατί δεν είναι διαφήμιση από τηλέφωνο, έτσι, τετραψήφια, πενταψήφια. Είναι ότι 18 μέρες πριν συμπληρώσαμε 18 χρόνια λειτουργίας από την έναρξη παροχής των υπηρεσιών μας. Οι υπηρεσίες μας λοιπόν ξεκίνησαν το Σεπτέμβριο του 2003, από μια τρελή ιδέα δικιά μου τον Αύγουστο του 2000, σε τη μετουσίωση σε το μεγαλύτερο data center provider στην Ελλάδα. Και πόσα πράγματα κάναμε τα τελευταία 18 χρόνια. 100% availability στις υπηρεσίες μας, δεκάδες βραβεία, δεκάδες πιστοποιήσεις, πολύ καλά οικονομικά αποτελέσματα. Αν υπάρχει όμως κάτι το οποίο μας κάνει πραγματικά υπερήφανος, αυτό το κάτι είναι η ομάδα της Lambda Helix, η οικογένεια της Lambda Helix, οι άνθρωποι μας. Πάρα πολλοί άνθρωποι ξεκίνησαν μαζί μας, έχουμε κόσμο που είναι 10-15 χρόνια μαζί μας και 18 χρόνια νομίζω μαζί μας έχουμε κόσμο, πέρα από μένα. Λοιπόν, έχουμε κόσμο που είναι πολλά χρόνια μαζί μας. Έφτιαξαν τις καριέρες τους, εξαιρετικοί Έλληνες μηχανικοί, αναπτύχθηκαν, δημιούργησαν υπηρεσίες, δημιούργησαν προϊόντα, δημιούργησαν τις υποδομές της Lambda Helix και όλο αυτό που πρεσβεύει η Lambda Helix. Αλλά μια και μιλάμε για δεδομένα και data centers, τα δεδομένα είναι η πρώτη ύλη των data centers. Και όπως ξέρουμε όλοι, τα δεδομένα είναι κάτι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό τη σήμερα ημέρα. Στις 10 πρώτες από πλευράς χρηματιστηριακής αξίας επιχειρήσεις, οι 8 είναι εταιρείες τεχνολογίας και οι 6 είναι εταιρείες δεδομένων. Όταν ξεκινήσαμε το 2003, μόνο 2 εταιρείες ήταν εταιρείες τεχνολογίας. Μία από αυτές ήταν η Microsoft και καμία εταιρεία δεδομένων. Η Microsoft, παρεμπιπτόντως, αποτελεί και έναν από τους μεγαλύτερους πελάτες μας στην Ελλάδα και έναν από τους μεγαλύτερους πελάτες μας σε όλο τον κόσμο. Αλλά είναι τα δεδομένα σημαντικά μόνο για την ψηφιακή οικονομία? Νομίζω πως όχι. Ένας φίλος από τη Γερμανία με έχει ρωτήσει πέρσι, τον Ιούνιο του 2020, μου λέει: για φαντάσου την λέλαπα της πανδημίας του κορονοϊού να την είχαμε περάσει το 2000, 20 χρόνια πριν. Ποια θα ήταν τα αποτελέσματα? Αν είχαμε να δουλέψουμε μονάχα με ένα φαξ, με τηλέφωνα 2G, που το καλύτερο που μπορούσε να κάνει να στείλει ένα SMS, και τηλεοράσεις που έδειχναν 5-6 κανάλια και αυτά με χιόνια γιατί ήταν αναλογικό το σήμα. Και είδαμε ότι η τεχνολογία, τα δεδομένα και οι τηλεπικοινωνίες έδωσαν τη δυνατότητα, όχι μόνο στους Έλληνες, αλλά σε όλους τους λαούς, σε όλο τον κόσμο, στους προηγμένους τουλάχιστον οικονομίες, τη δυνατότητα οι επιχειρήσεις τους να συνεχίσουν να λειτουργούν σε ένα μεγάλο βαθμό, τη δυνατότητα στους μαθητές να μπορέσουν να μαθαίνουν χωρίς να μπορούν να επισκέπτονται τα σχολεία τους. Έδωσε δυνατότητα στο κράτος, στην Ελλάδα, τουλάχιστον καθώς γνωρίζουμε εμείς, να παρέσχει καλύτερες υπηρεσίες, γρηγορότερες υπηρεσίες μέσω του government.gr και αυτές του είδους μεταρρυθμίσεις να επιταχυνθούν περαιτέρω. Αλλά το κυριότερο που έδωσε στην ανθρωπότητα είναι ότι καταφέραμε να βρούμε, σαν ανθρωπότητα εννοώ, πολλά εμβόλια, να κάνουμε κλινικές δοκιμές για πολλά εμβόλια, να παράξουμε τα εμβόλια, να τα μεταφέρουμε τα εμβόλια, να τα διανέμουμε και κυρίως να εμβολιάσουμε δισεκατομμύρια ανθρώπους. Τίποτα από όλα αυτά δεν θα ήταν δυνατό χωρίς τα δεδομένα και τα κέντρα δεδομένων. Άρα, ο κόσμος μας και τα μαθήματα, πολλά μαθήματα την πανδημία, τα 2 πιο σημαντικά μαθήματα την πανδημία, το πρώτο είναι ότι τα δεδομένα είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικά, όχι μόνο όμως για την ψηφιακή οικονομία, αλλά για το σύνολο της οικονομίας και της ζωής μας. Και βέβαια τα data centers αποδομούν κρίσιμες στρατηγικές υποδομές, γιατί πραγματικά στεγάζουν τα δεδομένα. Το δεύτερο μάθημα έχει να κάνει με τις προμηθευτικές αλυσίδες. Το είδαμε με τα προϊόντα που λείπανε την περίοδο του κορονοϊού, ήταν αναπνευστήρες, ήταν μάσκες. Το βλέπουμε σήμερα με τα προϊόντα στην ενεργειακή αγορά. Οι αλυσίδες προμηθευτικές παίζουν πολύ μεγάλο ρόλο. Το ίδιο ισχύει όμως και για data centers. Και όπως δεν μπορούμε να κάνουμε outsource σε μια άλλη χώρα τους δρόμους μας, τα λιμάνια μας, τα αεροδρόμια μας, με τον ίδιο τρόπο δεν μπορούμε να κάνουμε outsource στα data centers μας. Φανταστείτε, στην κρίση του κορονοϊού, τα βασικά δεδομένα της Ελλάδας να ήταν και να λειτουργούσαν στο Μιλάνο. Και με την πανδημία να έκλεινε το Μιλάνο εντελώς, υπήρχε ένα πρόβλημα και να μην μπορούσε η Ελλάδα να λειτουργήσει. Άρα, θεωρώ λοιπόν ότι είναι προφανές πλέον ότι τα data centers δεν μπορούν να γίνουν outsource σε μια άλλη χώρα. Τώρα, όσον αφορά τα data centers που αναπτύσσουμε εμείς σαν Digital Reality και σαν Lambda Helix, εμείς μιλάμε για τα Multi-Tenanted data centers. Οι περισσότεροι γνωρίζουν τον όρο ή το έχετε γνωρίσει σαν ουδέτερα data centers. Αυτό που λέμε εμείς στους πελάτες μας και στους συνεργάτες μας είναι ότι οι υποδομές μας, πέρα το ότι είναι state of the art και world class και συνοδεύονται από πολύ υψηλά επίπεδα service level agreement, έχουν ταυτόχρονα ένα χαρακτηριστικό, ότι είναι ανοιχτά για όλους. Ότι μπορούν όλοι να έρθουν να λειτουργήσουν, να συλλειτουργήσουν μέσα στις υποδομές μας, μεγάλοι και μικροί, Έλληνες και ξένοι, τηλεπικοινωνιακοί πάροχοι, cloud providers, content providers, μεγάλες μικρές επιχειρήσεις που παρέχουν εφαρμογές, software as a service, και όλη αυτή η συνλειτουργία τους κάτω από μια στέγη, την οποία εμπιστεύονται ένα trusted third party που είναι η Digital Reality ή Lambda Helix εν προκειμένου, τους δίνει τη δυνατότητα να ανταλλάξουν δεδομένα. Και να ανταλλάσσουν συνεχώς δεδομένα. Γιατί η βασική πρώτη ύλη σήμερα είναι τα δεδομένα. Άρα αυτή η αλλαγή, η συναλλαγή, η διανομή των δεδομένων, η ανταλλαγή των δεδομένων, η αποθήκευση, όλο αυτό το πράγμα γίνεται πιο γρήγορα, πιο εύκολα, πιο αξιόπιστα, πιο φθηνά και πιο γρήγορα και με λιγότερο latency. Και άρα, θα σας μιλήσουν και ο Αλέξανδρος με το Mike αργότερα γι' αυτό, αλλά ουσιαστικά τα data centers δημιουργούν αυτό που λέμε data exchange. Και το data exchange δημιουργεί τις ψηφιακές κοινότητες. Και αυτές οι ψηφιακές κοινότητες με τη συνεχή εναλλαγή τους, το μεγάλωμά τους και την ανταλλαγή των δεδομένων δημιουργούν αυτό που λέμε σε μια χώρα, σε μια πόλη, σε ένα κάμπους, την ψηφιακή του βαρύτητα. Και αυτή η ψηφιακή βαρύτητα είναι αυτή που ορίζει τελικά την ψηφιακή σημαντικότητα ενός κάμπους, μιας πόλης ή μιας περιοχής. Τώρα, ας περάσουμε λίγο για τις επενδύσεις μας. Οι περισσότεροι γνωρίζετε για το Athens-1 και το Athens-2, γιατί είσαστε πελάτες ή θέλετε να γίνετε πελάτες. Μας πήρε περίπου 12 χρόνια να πάμε από το 1 στο 2. Είναι αυτό που λένε τα παιδάκια, να μετρήσεις από το 1 στο 2, μας πήρε 12 χρόνια. Αλλά τα 12 χρόνια αυτά ήταν 12 χρόνια κρίσιμα και ευχάριστα, γιατί ενδιάμεσα είχαμε μια επέκταση του Athens-1, αυτό που λέμε, διπλασιάσαμε ουσιαστικά την δυνατότητα του Athens-1, και ταυτόχρονα ήμασταν από τους πρωτοπόρους στην Ευρώπη. Όταν ξεκινήσαμε στην Ελλάδα, δεν υπήρχαν πάρα πολλές εταιρείες οι οποίες είχαν data centers στην Ευρώπη και έκαναν ακριβώς αυτή τη δουλειά. Ήμασταν λοιπόν στο πρώτο κομμάτι που είναι στο learning curve όλης αυτής της αγοράς. Και ταυτόχρονα έπρεπε να υπερκεράσουμε εμπόδια και προβλήματα και να κάνουμε educate όλους μας τους πελάτες και την αγορά, να τους εξηγήσουμε ότι ξέρεις, όταν πας εκεί στο κοροπή στα ραπανάκια, έτσι κάποιος πελάτης μου είχε πει, εκεί στα ραπανάκια θα πληρώνουν τόσα λεφτά. Όταν πας λοιπόν εκεί στα ραπανάκια, θα έχεις πολύ καλές υπηρεσίες, θα μπορείς να διασυνδεθείς με όλους και να κάνεις αυτό που λέμε colocation. Και με ρωτάγανε τι είναι το colocation. Έπρεπε να εξηγήσουμε τότε, εκείνη την εποχή, τι είναι το colocation. Σήμερα ο κόσμος ξέρει τι είναι το colocation, καταλαβαίνει την ασφαλειά μας, έχει πάρει υπηρεσίες και καταλαβαίνει ότι η διαθεσιμότητα των υποδομών μας είναι 100% 18 χρόνια. Δεν είναι εύκολο, ούτε είναι κάτι το οποίο δεν μπορεί να το πετύχεις χωρίς μεγάλη προσπάθεια. Και τώρα είμαστε έτοιμοι για το τρίτο βήμα. Σε 7 χρόνια, σχεδόν στο μισό χρόνο. Και αν λάβει υπόψη κανείς ότι από μεταξύ του 2015 που φτιάξαμε το Athens-2, το οποίο μάλιστα βραβεύτηκε σαν το καλύτερο data center στην Ευρώπη, Μέση Ανατολή, Αφρική, φτάνουμε στο Athens-3, ενώ έχουμε 2 μεγάλες κρίσεις, γιατί μια παγκόσμια κρίση που είναι ο κορονοϊός και μια τοπική κρίση η οποία ήταν τα capital controls. Σίγουρα ο χρόνος των 7 ετών θα μπορούσε να ήταν και 4 χρόνια ίσως. Και βέβαια μετά, το επόμενο, πάμε σε 1 χρόνο μετά. Ήδη ξεκινάμε και κατασκευάζουμε το Athens-3, έχουμε καταθέσει και περιμένουμε την αδειοδότηση για το Athens-4 και έτσι εξαπλασιάζουμε τις υποδομές που μπορούμε να εξυπηρετήσουμε στους πελάτες μας, να μπορέσουμε να στεγάσουμε δεκάδες χιλιάδες σέρβες και αλλάζουμε πίστα όσον αφορά τις υποδομές ψηφιακές που έχει η χώρα. Κλείνοντας, οι επενδύσεις μας είναι win-win-win για όλους. Είναι win για τους πελάτες μας, μεγάλους και μικρούς, Έλληνες και ξένους, γιατί τους δίνουν δυνατότητα να είναι ανταγωνιστικοί, να λάβουν καλές υπηρεσίες με πολύ καλό κόστος και μεγάλη διαθεσιμότητα. Είναι επίσης πάρα πολύ θετικές, είτε μιλάμε για καταναλωτές, είτε μιλάμε για πολίτες. Γιατί είμαστε και καταναλωτές και πολίτες. Και για καταναλωτές, γιατί προφανώς έχουν περισσότερα options, καλύτερες υπηρεσίες, γρηγορότερη ταχύτητα, αλλά και σαν πολίτες, γιατί πέρα από όλα τα υπόλοιπα έχουν και τη δυνατότητα και την πρόσβαση σε καλύτερες δουλειές. Κατά την πορεία της κατασκευής θα έχουμε πάνω από 200 δουλειές θα δημιουργήσουμε και στη λειτουργία πάνω από 100 δουλειές. Και αυτό όσον αφορά εμάς. Όσον αφορά όμως όλο το οικοσύστημα που μεγαλώνει με το data gravity, αυτό μιλάμε για εκατοντάδες, για χιλιάδες δουλειές και δουλειές οι οποίες είναι καλά αμοιβόμενες. Έτσι, είναι δουλειές που έχουν να κάνουν με την κατασκευή, είναι δουλειές που έχουν να κάνουν με την λειτουργία data centers, μιλάμε για μηχανικούς, ηλεκτρολόγους, μηχανικούς, μιλάμε για δουλειές που έχουν σχέση με την πληροφορική και τις τηλεπικοινωνίες. Άρα, επανερχόμενοι σε αυτό το κομμάτι, επειδή εμείς φροντίζουμε και συνεισφέρουμε στο να μην γίνει, όπως τα λέγει και ο καθηγητής Μπαμπινιώτης, την αποδεδομενοποίηση της χώρας, φροντίζοντας λοιπόν τα δεδομένα να μείνουν στην Ελλάδα, δίνουμε τη δυνατότητα στους Έλληνες μηχανικούς να δουλέψουν πάνω σε αυτά τα δεδομένα και να δημιουργηθούν καινούργιες δουλειές. Και τέλος, είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό και θετικό για την Ελλάδα, γιατί δίνει τη δυνατότητα να γίνει πιο ανταγωνιστική η χώρα, να προσελκύσει νέες επενδύσεις, νέους παίκτες, νέες επιχειρήσεις, να διατηρήσει τα δεδομένα μέσα στη χώρα και να δημιουργήσει δουλειές. Και άρα, one way or another, όπως θα δείξει και ο Αλέξανδρος με το Mike αργότερα, που έχουμε ένα πολύ μεγάλο και συγκεκριμένο μετρήσιμο αποτύπωμα της επενδύσεις μας, να μεγαλώσουμε την πίτα. Και μεγαλώνοντας την πίτα, αυτό είναι το πρώτο πράγμα προκειμένου όλοι να είμαστε σε μια καλύτερη χώρα. Κλείνοντας, θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω από καρδιάς όλους μας τους πελάτες, τους εκατοντάδες πελάτες μας, οι οποίοι μας υποστηρίζουν τα τελευταία 18 χρόνια και τίποτα από όλα αυτά δεν θα γίνει πραγματικότητα χωρίς αυτούς. Θα ήθελα επίσης να τους διαβεβαιώσω ότι στα επόμενα χρόνια όχι απλώς δεν θα σταματήσουμε, αλλά θα συνεχίσουμε και θα εντείνουμε τους ρυθμούς και των επενδύσεων μας και της καινοτομίας μας και των υπηρεσιών και της υποστήριξης που τους παρέχουμε. Θα ήθελα επίσης να ευχαριστήσω όλους μας τους συνεργάτες, παλιούς και ξένους, ιδιαίτερα να ευχαριστήσω τη Schneider Electric, γιατί είμαστε συνεργάτες πάνω από 10 χρόνια. Έχουμε κάνει δεκάδες έργα μαζί. Τη SWART, που είναι ένας καινούριος συνεργάτης μας. Το γραφείο Κιδωνιάτη, το οποίο έχει φροντίσει να μας βοηθήσει στην εκπόνηση και στην αδειοδότηση του Athens-3 και του Athens-4. Και επίσης και τον ΔΔΕ, γιατί με τη βοήθεια και του Διευθύνοντος Συμβουλίου του και της ομάδας του, καταφέραμε να εξασφαλίσουμε την παροχή ισχύως για το Athens-3 και το Athens-4. Τέλος, θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω τη μεγάλη οικογένεια της Lambda Helix και στην Ελλάδα, αλλά και της Digital Realty στο εξωτερικό, γιατί χωρίς τη δικιά του συμβολή δεν θα μπορούσε να γίνει τίποτα από αυτά πραγματικότητα. Ιδιαίτερα δεν ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω τον CEO της Digital Realty, τον Bill Stein, τον David Ruberg, τον Greg Wright και τον Andy Power, γιατί η ομάδα αυτή συνεισέφερε εξαιρετικά προκειμένου να γίνει η εξαγορά της Lambda Helix. Μοιράστηκαν το όραμά μας να κάνουμε την Ελλάδα κόμβο δεδομένου στην Ανατολική Ευρώπη και όχι μόνο αυτό, μας εμπιστεύονται και ταυτόχρονα μας έχουν παράσχει όλα τα μέσα προκειμένου αυτό το πράγμα να γίνει πραγματικότητα. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ και χαίρομαι πάρα πολύ που γιορτάζουμε αυτή τη στιγμή μαζί σας σήμερα. Ευχαριστώ.
Ευχαριστούμε, Απόστολε. May I ask Mike Hollands to join the stage with me? I will try to go through some of the finer details of our plan, our investment plan, and why we do it, especially on the why. Why we believe that it is the right time and the right place to do further investments in the country and in the region, and also respecting and taking, in a collaborative way, the investments that many other companies have done in Greece, including some that I'm happy to see here, like the Globe that I see George in front of me, or other operators like Nova, etc. But the Globe has been a pioneer, and I wanted to point that out. Having said that, Mike is a senior director of the company many years and has been behind many of the strategy and the execution of our expansion in the kind of play that we're trying to do here. So he has been mentoring us in this for many months now, and thank you for being here,
Alexander.
Mike.
It's a real pleasure. A real honor to be here in Athens.
Good. So, let me give the stage to Mike and tell us if, some words about our mother company, DLR, and its global vision on data centers.
Okay, thanks, Alexandros. Well, as you can see from this map, Digital Realty has a global presence in 6 continents. But it's not just about size that this is important. One of the most important aspects... Thank you, Lex. One of the most important aspects of our presence across the globe is that we have deep relationships with many customers. The famous names that operate the internet across the globe, gaming companies, cloud content distribution networks, cloud companies. We have relationships with them that start in many places around the world, and we're able to bring those relationships to locations such as Athens. And the other important factor to bring forward is that it's no longer about one city alone making its way in the market. Our world is so interconnected, the internet is so interconnected, that it's important to develop a strategy for regions. And we believe that the Mediterranean is a real important region for the world's digital infrastructure. This is why we're investing in countries such as Spain, France, Italy, Croatia, Greece. The Mediterranean is a key focus. There's another aspect about Digital Realty that, as well as its size, that I want to emphasize. And that's the scope of work that we do. We operate data centers that we describe as scale, built for 1 or 2 clients only. But at the other end of the spectrum, we operate what we call multi-tenanted data centers. What Lambda Helix have built here is a perfect example of that. So where many different types of companies come to deliver their services, work together, and this slide shows you the range of companies that we're talking about. Submarine cable systems. We don't build them, but they come to our data centers to interconnect to carriers, to cloud service providers, to internet exchanges, and so forth. The other aspect that's really important is neutrality. We build data centers in countries where we can follow our carrier-neutral philosophy, where we create a level playing field for everybody in the data center. Interconnection costs are efficient and low for everyone. And this neutrality is something, it's a bit of magic that can really make regions explode in growth. So those are the two key features, Alexandros, that I would really emphasize, the multi-tenanted and the neutrality.
They are obviously very, very important features. And when we're trying to understand how this environment affects Greece, Greece has come a long way, and of course has a long tradition of being one of the most stable countries in the region, an EU country, a Euro country, having our problems in the last decade, but recovering from it. But there was a disconnect in our long-term strategy, in our view, or at least certainly in my view, that in order to follow the global needs and global trends of the new age of internet, data centers, digital content consumption and creation, and application development, we should step up our game further, which means that all what would have been done till now, good, I believe, needs to be accelerated fast. And our position is that carrier-neutral data centers help this acceleration because they provide the environment that customers can buy services and providers can sell services and providers can interconnect. And this, if we manage to increase that by an order of magnitude in the next 2-3 years, will give Greece an opportunity to become a regional hub and maybe a bigger player in the global world. And we'll discuss about it later. But again, it's about interconnectivity, it's about collaboration, it's about realizing that if not all the components, at least most of the components, are in place and able to interconnect and work with each other, nothing will happen, at least not with the rate necessary to succeed in the current marketplace.
Yes, and Alexandros, I really would like to emphasize the point you just made, that where we've seen markets show the greatest growth and the greatest success are when we invest in data centers, but at the same time, our partners are investing in subsea, in terrestrial networks, in their internet exchange platforms. The more partners that are working to align the vision, the greater a market can develop.
Exactly. For some reason, the slide then, okay. So, when you are trying to reach a higher ground, it's good to see around and see where you are. And having your experience in the region, could you please, Mike, describe where we stand in the region and in Europe, at least, which is our, let's say, area of interest?
Yes, so what this slide is depicting for certain markets is the size of the interconnection community that's present in the city. And there's two takeaways from this slide. The first that mustn't be ignored is that Greece has already developed into a significant hub. So the investments made by the terrestrial networks here, by Lambda Helix, has already brought a very good number of interconnection partners into the city. This is important because getting going is often the hardest part. And getting to a point that Athens already is positions it very well for the future. However, the purpose of the chart is to show that other cities have developed into bigger hubs at present. And we believe, and this is why we're investing in Athens, that Athens' circle can be as big as anybody's on those charts. So there is a good start, but the chart shows you the potential for growth that we have in Athens.
Thank you, Mike. I think this is an interesting place, that slide, to better understand some of the strategy we are implementing. And if you can elaborate again, because you know the other two routes very well, and you can explain what we're trying to do with the first.
Sure. I mean, what this chart tries to answer is the reason why now. Why do we think this is an inflection point, an inflection moment for Greece? Well, for many years, there has been a huge internet highway coming from Africa, India, the Far East, to Europe, and the internet highway goes to Marseille. And there's more cables coming, more subsea cables coming with huge amounts of capacity that are going to make that internet highway grow even more. So cables such as to Africa, India-Europe Express, Blue Raman, all cables that are confirmed and will arrive in the next couple of years that will bring huge amounts of traffic to Marseille. However, the content providers and the capacity owners on those cable systems have some challenges. One of those challenges is latency. A big driver of the increased capacity on the cables is new applications such as virtual reality, which are very dependent on latency. So the question they ask themselves is, there's a lot of traffic that's destined for Eastern Europe. So why take it to the other side of the continent, only then to bring it back? So as Route 1 on this chart shows, the solution to that is to have branches from these internet highway subsea cables that brings traffic directly into Greece and then onwards to serve Eastern Europe and the region on this side of the continent. The second challenge that they have is diversity. We saw last week how a major social media network systems went down because of network problems. And so diversity is very key to them, and this is driving them to look for new routes as backup or alternatives to the traditional internet highway that is Marseille. So what we're seeing is not a total change, but a more robust internet that has more routes and therefore is a key driver for Athens and the reason that this moment is what we think is the inflection point.
Thank you, Mike. If I may add something here, Greece is in an ideal location, as Mike explained, to help in both the latency for some parts of Europe and for redundancy or diversity for the others. And these are not trivial, and these are what global customers that actually understand the real problems that their applications face is what they care about. So we need, as not only as Lambda Helix, as an ecosystem, to answer to these problems in a satisfactory way so we can make altogether Greece and this route an attractive destination, helping us to grow, to scale, and become something much bigger. Which takes me to the next point, which it's a virtuous cycle. Growth brings growth. investments bring investments. When there is an investment, there is a lot of attraction of companies, of ecosystems. These work together and all try to make everybody else successful because their success depends on it. And this is not something that cannot happen if you don't have the foundation, the foundations. What we believe in the digital era is that data centers like ours are among the most significant parts of what we call foundations of the digital economy. I will not try to explain. This is more of a conceptual, let's say, equation. And I do hope, as I have said before, that a new era, Einstein will come and make this a much simpler equation, like the energy versus mass. But the main idea here is that data is have gravity, as celestial bodies have gravity. And this gravity tends to attract more data, applications related to this data, users using the applications that use the data, and all these require very low latency and a lot of bandwidth. The very low latency I need to emphasize, because latency is, of course, impacted by many factors, the main one being, though, distance. Therefore, what you see at the global scale is all the infrastructure players or the platform players or the cloud providers as we know them, they are trying to go closer to their users. Why? Because they understand that latency is an important, low latency is an important enabler for many of their applications, but also, even more importantly, of applications of their users. Virtual reality that was mentioned. Some parts of IoT, all the 5G discussion is about low latency, or most of it. Gaming, and a lot of other applications, autonomous driving, that we are going to see, and we're already seeing in the marketplace and in our everyday life, are getting more related and impacted by this. So, this cannot happen also without having the upper layers. It's not only about infrastructure, we don't kid ourselves, or data center infrastructure. It's not even only about connectivity. It's about all the layers that come together in order to create a value chain that would provide an experience to our users. I will be very quick in this. Apostolos talked very briefly. But at the end, we need to understand that any investment in data center, and this is more data center specific, has an impact to the economy. There are two categories of impact. One category describes the direct impact, what we invest. One other is the indirect impact. Another part of this category is the indirect impact. What is the value of our supply chain in this, let's say, construction? The induced is what people operating the facility offer to the economy. And all this guides, IDG made the calculations, we didn't do it, and they have made analogous calculations globally, so they are very experienced in this, that every, let's say, 100 million investment from us, it will be 823 million of not revenue, but of economic impact to the country for the next 10 years. But what I'm saying is that this is nothing. This is nothing compared to what the ripple effects of such investment can be. Because of the ICT part of the equation, the application part of the equation, the business part of the equation, that cannot be quantified at this moment. Because enabling all these businesses can create a huge effect, can reverse, certainly is the only thing I believe can reverse the brain drain of our country. Having people that can work on applications to solve business problems locally and then expand these solutions regionally and globally. I would like to thank everybody for listening for this. We'll be at the end here for any discussion with any of you. And Mike, thanks again for sharing the stage with me.
Very well, thank you.
You will have to cope with me a little more as I invite Fabrice Cocchio, the esteemed colleague, I will give you this, the esteemed colleague, MD, Managing Director of France, a pioneer in developing Paris and Marseille to being one of the leading countries in, of course, Europe, but not only, and with a lot of experience in also attracting, through the Marseille case, submarine cables. And he's here to share openly his experiences. Thank you, Fabrice Cocchio, for being here with us.
Thank you, Alexandros. So my name is Fabrice Cocchio. I'm the managing director of Interaction France for 22 years. Only my dear friend Lex Kors, the world master of data centers engineering, has joined the company a bit earlier than me. I'm very happy and proud to be with my colleagues of the Digital Realty Group now, of Lambda Helix. Very happy to be with you. Happy to talk a bit more about and give you some flavor about what we have experimented in Marseille in the last 6 years, which was an incredible journey so far, and is not a determination point, far from that, actually. And the idea to share that with you, I'm pretty sure that most of you know that Marseille was founded by the Greeks 2,600 years ago, Greeks from Phocea, so good links with my friend Alexandros and Apostolos. So the idea, once again, is to tell you one thing crucial. We, at Interaction and the Digital Realty Group, and I'm pretty sure that's the case with Lambda Helix, we always listen to customers first, because nobody told us to go to Marseille. Nobody at Gartner Group told us to go to Marseille. We just listened to our customers because it was important to understand that at the time that for many years, 15 years actually, my customers talked about Paris only, and I'm based in Paris, and suddenly from a transit city, typical transit city, because subsea cables are not new in Marseille. The first one was laid down 26 years ago. But it was just a transit city, connecting to the heart of the IT GDP in Europe, being made of what we call the flaps, the Frankfurt, London, Amsterdam, Paris, being approximately a weight of 60% of the total IT spent in Europe. And obviously, people from Americas, people from Africa, India, Southeast Asia, they want to connect to the heart of Europe. And to do that, usually they go straight because it's the cheapest way, the quickest way in terms of latency, investment. And at the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, arrived the moment of new investments in subsea cables, which have totally changed the landscape in Marseille and the concept of this city. So France today is a bit unique in Europe. It's a bit unique because it's the only country in the EU where we've got not only two major hubs in terms of internet traffic, internet transit, and exchange of data, but from nowhere 10 years ago or 6 years ago, when I say nowhere, Marseille was rank 122. So you see, very far away. It's now the hub number 9 in the world. And we have made a bet recently that in the coming 2 or 3 years, when I say we, that's with my friend Mike, who supported me a lot in the last 6-7 years in Marseille, Marseille should reach position number 5 in the world. And this is not magic. This is not thanks to Interaction. We are just here to facilitate it. But it's thanks to all the investments and the fact that the total capacity already gathered in Marseille, which is at the moment 160 terabits approximately, will jump to 900 terabits. So it's 6-fold of what's going on today. So if we are already in position number 9, imagine what is going to happen. So the whole idea here is to share a bit more flavor with you about what has taken place in Marseille and what will arrive in Marseille soon. It's not to describe Marseille. That's because we believe and we think that if we work all hard together, customers, partners, and the Digital Realty Group, we can make Athens and Crete associated. Maybe the next hub in the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea, when Marseille will become the major hub and remain the major hub in the western part of the Mediterranean Sea. It's, in this virtual world, it's all about geography. And this is maybe the lesson that we have learned over the last 6 years. It's all about geography because Napoleon was saying this is the only thing in the world which is never changing. Sometimes you have to believe the French. More seriously, we have a very unique situation because of that high level of concentration of IT GDP in the flap markets, so Frankfurt, London, Amsterdam, Paris. But if you face south and southeast, there is almost for the time being nothing. And then comes a moment with economies of scales where you have, when you are a customer, from cloud, content, digital distribution, carriers, and so on, you need maybe to aggregate everything at the same place to be able to create a distribution hub, not only storage, processing hub, but a distribution hub, because this is at the moment that you exchange data that you create value. Before, there is no value. That's only at the moment that you trade data that you create the value. And this, thanks to all the subsea cables and also what we call the hinterland. Marseille could never be Marseille just because of the subsea cables. It's also because it's the shortest way to reach what I call the flap, what we call the hinterland. And this is the exchange between cities having the data gravity that Alexandros and Mike were referring to, but also the countries using the content, whether it's cloud content, financial content, or digital media content. So from Marseille, we've got a unique situation here because we distribute today 43 countries direct from Marseille. It's going to be close to 56 in the coming 2 years. And we can reach and offer to our customers to reach 4.5 billion of users. It's just massive. It explains why it's such an important hub nowadays, and it will be more in the coming years. Just very quickly, because actually in 6 years, that was rather quick, what we did with our customers. We started with acquiring a facility quite similar in a way with the size of what Lambda Helix has today. 40 networks, some submarine cables, old space when Lambda Helix have state-of-the-art data centers, so you are in a better position than I was 6 years ago. And we retrofitted it, and we immediately invested at the time of new cables, CME W5, AE1, some other cables, were just arriving and landing in Marseille to bring much more capacity compared to the initial cables already connected in Marseille. So we immediately invested with a second data center, MRS2, not too distant, but not too close, so that we could offer to our customers, carriers, cloud companies, some resilient solutions and some diverse solutions for dual site configurations. Because as Mike was pointing out, all our customers, they need the same, an efficient way of distributing their data, but they also need resiliency. And they need the data center providers to support them to that aspect. Very quickly, we moved with a very special data center called MRS-3 that we have just completed, by the way, a few weeks ago for the last phase. I say a unique data center because you will see the picture. I think that's the first time that Lex and I did such a crazy thing by renovating a former Navy basis from the Second World War, never completed by the Germans, it was too late, but never used as well by the French after the war. And we did it once. I'm not sure, Lex, that we're going to do that twice. But it was a nice adventure. At the moment, we're building MRS4. So in less than 6 years, we have invested 400 million euros in Marseille to support the hub, to support our customers. Because the hub is not made of data centers. That's our customers who make the hub. So for those of you being a bit familiar with the geography of Marseille, it's very similar to Athens in a way, surrounded by hills, facing the sea. And we did one thing. We started with MRS1 in the city center. A lot of constraints due to our activities being so much and so deep inside the city. But we then followed the golden rule of data centers. It's not only about grid connections and permits and land. It's also about the 3 rules of real estate, being the location, and the location. And we wanted to be right in the harbor of Marseille so that we could be as close as possible to the seawall where the next cables are going to bump into to connect to our data centers or to go elsewhere. Because as Mike insisted on, we are a neutral player. We don't want to capture a market. We want to give all the choices possible to our customers. That's better if they choose us. But I think that most of them have chosen us in the last years. Just one picture, you know. Sometimes we have to reinvent the wheel. This is what we did with the DTech team of Lex at Interaction Group. And what you see with the MRS-3 is that massive building full of concrete, 252 meters long, 7,000 square meters of IT space, walls of close to 3 meters thickness, and a roof of 7 meters of concrete. So imagine when you have to pull some cable trays, sometimes it's a bit difficult. But we did it, and we supplied this site recently to some of the major cloud providers in the world. This is what we are building next to, as you can see, MRS-3 and 2, by the way. And this site is going to be delivered in July next year. So for me, it's already over. I'm working with all the teams now, working on MRS-5 and beyond, which is going to be the next expansion phase of Interaction, once again for our customers. There is a very strong appetite of this community. Our business, the digital realty business, is not about building up a data center for Mr. Amazon, Mr. Microsoft, or Mr. Total, or Mr. Allianz. Our business is to create hubs. And to create hubs, you need a community. The largest possible community, very diversified, so that all our customers, not only, of course, benefit from our services, but actually they create much more value by the mutualization of the presence of all the other customers within the hub. The hub being the association of all the data centers that we have developed over years. Some examples, and you see this is I think very interesting. We have experimented in the last 3 years, respectively, 82, 57, and 44% of growth in Marseille. Incredible figures. Normally, you know, the data center market grows at a rate of 8 to 10, 10 to 12% growth. Very special here. And special because all our customers, and you see that they are, most of them, not French. Actually, 5%, a bit less than 5% of my customers are French customers. It's really an international hub. And this is reflected, of course, by the position number 9 in the world. The hub is not made by Interaction only. The hub, as I said, is made by our customers, but the combination, as Mike explained, of terrestrial networks, subsea networks, and some data centers when they are located at the right place and at the right time. This is exactly what has happened in the last years. And when we say that we are ready to bet that Marseille will become the hub number 5 in the world in the coming 2 or 3 years, it's not a bet, it's for sure. It's pure arithmetics here. It's just the calculation that the traffic and the capacity will move 6-fold of what it is already today. And this is how we build the evolution with our customers again. We facilitate them, and from a strategic transit site before already, in 2014 when we arrived in Marseille and started investing in Marseille, we moved progressively today to an interconnection hub, exchanging data. And the next phase, with all the new capacities connecting even to South America now, with some partners like Elalink, are making this hub becoming a major, what we could call even manufacturing hub, meaning that our customers will manufacture data, process data locally to redistribute that. We could take the examples of Disney+, for example. You might not know that I don't know if in Greece you've got Disney+. You've got it? No, not yet. But pretty soon, I guess. But when Disney, a year ago, decided to develop the OTT service of Disney+, from Sweden to the UK and so on, they decided to put all the compute and all the distribution in Marseille so that they could reach all the rest of Europe before reaching maybe Greece soon, and definitely North Africa also. So this is where we see that from the raw material of videos and films and so on, Disney Plus is manufacturing, with the support of all the other customers present in the hub, a new distribution concept for Sweden, for Ireland, as I was saying, tomorrow Morocco, and definitely Greece. This progression is exactly what we think can happen here in Greece with the combination of Crete and Athens. It's an opportunity for the territory, because as soon as you build such a big airport, a big international airport of data, obviously companies being so close to the hub can benefit, whether you are a small startup, a small, medium-sized company. This is exactly what we have seen in the last 12 months in Marseille. You know, all our American, Chinese, Southeast Asian customers landed first, but now we've got some small, medium-sized French companies just joining, because it's always easier if you've got a major airport close to you to develop your own business, moving to the digitalization, which was presented before. So it's important for the local enterprises, but major also, because this is the infrastructure of today and tomorrow. I'm used to say to journalists that, you know, nothing special, nothing has changed. In the 19th century, we were building some train stations and railways. In the 20th century, airports and highways. Today, that's subsea cables, terrestrial cables, and data center hubs. Same logic, exchanging. Not people, not goods, but data. So it follows exactly the same rules, geography, and where you've got concentration and a geographical advantage. Here, you've got a very specific geographical advantage. You are in the right position on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, able to deliver services from here to the Balkan area, the Black Sea area, the Near East, and even some parts of Africa already, for the reasons that Mike and Alexandros explained that I'm not going to repeat. To do that, we should never forget that even if we facilitate, we have a responsibility as a data center player. Interaction France, with the support of our DTEG friends, have taken a step forward. As from the end of 2020, we became neutral in scope 1 and 2 in terms of carbon emissions. And we always try, with the support of our engineering teams, to find all potential innovations to fuel, in a way, this hub in terms of our responsibility for sustainability. One project we are very proud of, a few months ago, we have connected a river cooling solution for our Marseille data centers. And we are even below the estimates of Lex. We have reached, in the month of August, 1.17 on the PUE, for those of you who know what it means. So a very, 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 very efficient data center in August in Marseille, under the heat and the sun of Marseille. So it's a bit hotter than Paris, but I can tell you that it's already quite an achievement. Now, and as it was the case this morning with the honorable presence of your Prime Minister, officials understand the importance of Marseille. You might be not familiar with these ministers in France, but they have picked up Marseille and our data centers in Marseille to announce last June the roadmap of the French government in terms of digitalization of the country and sustainability. And we see that the two subjects are highly connected with each other. So definitely we think that there are many similarities, and what we have learned, and now we can share with our friends and also our customers globally, is that Marseille was something. It is going to become something else in the coming years, as you might have understood. But we also see Athens and Greece in general becoming a major hub for the future, thanks once again to our customers. We are just here to facilitate. This is what we believe in, and this is what I'm pretty sure that our friends of Lambda Helix are going to work hard in the coming month. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Fabrice. We appreciated the contribution, and thanks for your wishes. Let me also take the opportunity to salute our remote viewing participants who could not attend due to COVID limitations. We had to cut on-site attendance. And I would like to take now this opportunity to invite my friend and colleague working with me on business development, Andreas Polirakis, who will introduce the next round of talks. We call them flash talks. He will talk more about this, and I will be flashing out of here. Okay.
Thank you, Alexandros. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Kalispera. I'm Andreas Polirakis, Business Development Manager at Lambda Helix. I will be the host for the next session. I apologize for the small problem we have with the monitor here. Thank God we have another monitor on the right. Exactly, this was what I was about to stress, that we take redundancy very, very seriously. In the previous presentations, we discussed about our own goals and vision and expectations. In this session, which is actually a series of flash talks, we give the floor to some of our customers to discuss about their own expectations and plans in the region. So I believe that you will find this very interesting too. Without further ado, let's start with the first presentation by Mr. Ivo Ivanov, CEO of DECIX International, a value partner. Lambda Helix and DECIX about a year ago jointly launched SICIX, the Southeast Europe Cloud and Interconnections Exchange. So Mr. Ivanov will talk about SICIX and DECIX and their investment in the area.
Good afternoon, Athens. Good afternoon, dear friends and Lambda Helix. It's my pleasure being part of this very important event, and congratulations to you, Apostolos, and to the entire team behind Lambda Helix for this great achievement for the start of this next phase of expansion. I'm in Barcelona today. Unfortunately, I cannot be live with you guys on site in Athens and celebrate, but we will do this hopefully very soon again in person. I'm in Barcelona, but we are also connected. So what does connect Barcelona and Athens? Of course, not only the Mediterranean basin with the beautiful weather, people, food, and excellent hospitality, but also the mandate we all are working on, serving the users and the businesses with the best digital service experience possible. And this service experience requires the type of infrastructure development we are all involved in. Data centers, fibers, subsea cables, and of course, the DECIX technology of interconnection. 1 year back, we have started the platform at Lambda Helix we called SICIX, the Southeastern European Cloud and Internet Exchange powered by DECIX. Today, this platform has built already and has created an ecosystem locally on site in Athens and the Lambda Helix data centers. And we know how important localization is, because localizing of services means also improving the performance. Because at the end, latency is so important. We know that all crucial applications today, disregarding if those are for users or for businesses, like live TV streaming, esports, manufacturing, and all of the other latency and performance sensitive applications, they require savings on every single millisecond. Therefore, I love to say latency is the new currency, and we have improved a lot with the interconnection ecosystem started in the Lambda Helix facilities in Athens, reducing the latency, but also adding new services. I will catch on just in a minute from now. Let's have understanding what this localization of digital services in terms of latency brings down to the table. At the end, within 3 milliseconds out of Athens, more than 4 million people, they can be served with excellent performance on digital services, disregarding what their latency requirements are, because we're on the range lower 3 milliseconds. And if we go even more far from this, Within 15 milliseconds, we can serve the entire population of the country. The bigger picture tells us even more. Athens is extremely well connected with subsea cable capacity, and within 15 milliseconds, which is more than around 1,000 kilometers, 220 million people, they can be served out of Athens, out of Greece, which is extremely beneficial for the quality of digital services in this part of Europe. But which is more important is that this ecosystem we have started under CICIX, powered by DICIX, is connected to the global DICIX ecosystem, which is the largest data center and carrier-neutral connectivity interconnection system on the planet, consisting of more than 2,400 networks with 83 terabit of connected capacity. These are great numbers, and this is not the only one positive fact about this ecosystem. The second is that it's steadily growing. Just within 1 year, we added 5 more interconnection markets, 300 more networks, and more than 20 further terabit of capacity, and more is coming weekly. Supporting all of our partners like Lambda Helix with different type of services which are also related to the needs of enterprises, like cloud connectivity services, or extremely crucial for businesses and now available in Athens as well, exclusive connectivity to applications like the Microsoft 365 world as a direct connectivity over the platform, improving dramatically the performance on Microsoft Teams, but also on Microsoft Dynamics systems like CRM and ERP systems. What is this designed for? Again, I mentioned at the beginning, it's designed to serve the needs of a mandate we do have as an economy. The mandate of providing businesses and users with the best digital services possible. Because this creates jobs. This creates the economic growth of the future. This is the engine for developing the economy in the next decades ahead of us. I want to congratulate you all, wish you all the best for the further developments in Athens and Greece. And again, congratulations, Apostolos, team of Lambda Helix, part of Digital Realty now, to this great new phase. The future is ahead of us, and we are proud developing this future together with you. All the best.
It is a pity that we couldn't have Mr. Ivanov with us, but I believe that he delivered some very clear messages. Latency is the new currency, and this, of course, aligns very well with our own notion of digital gravity, where latency plays a significant role in the equation. So, staying on the same subject, internet exchanges, the second message comes from Mr. Michalis Economakos, head of the Greek Internet Exchange. The Greek Internet Exchange is a significant infrastructure for the Greek internet, and Lambda Helix was always a strong supporter of this effort. So let's hear what Mr. Economakos has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Michalis Economakos, and I am the head of GRX. Today, I will be presenting about GRX, its relationship with Lambda Helix, and the Athens-3 investment. Let me start by presenting you GRX, the Greek Internet Exchange. It's an IXP operated by the Greek NREN, which is GRNet, as a trusted third party. It is the only neutral and not-for-profit IXP in Greece with a single goal to accelerate the growth of Greek internet. It has 2 separate infrastructure, one in Athens with POPs in 3 data centers, AE, Lambda Helix, and Telecom Sparkle Greece, and one in Thessaloniki with 1 POP in Synapscope data center. Moving forward, let me quickly recap GRX mission. First and foremost is to keep Greek traffic local. As obvious that might look today, that was not the case until very recently. we had numerous examples of Greek traffic being exchanged all over Europe. Thankfully, that has almost changed nowadays. Providing a robust and stable platform definitely helps in this direction. We recently invested more than €500,000 in fully upgrading our platform. Moreover, we are happy to develop a strong digital ecosystem around the exchange, member of which are all Greek eyeballs, ISPs, wireless ISPs, VoIP and cloud providers, CDNs, and carrier networks. In this ecosystem, we strive to promote best industry practices and standards and enhance business opportunities. In order to carry out our mission, we have partnered with all the like-minded stakeholders such as Lambda Helix. We established our POP in Lambda Helix back in 2014 as the first GRX POP in a commercial data center. Since then, we have built our business relationship based on common principles. Our goal in Greece is to have our country become a hub serving not only the local traffic, but also the broader Southeast Europe region. In that context, more cables, more networks, more clouds, more infrastructure are needed. Moving on with my presentation, let me show you some numbers related to the members and traffic growth of GRX. In GRX Athens, meaning in all three of our POPs, we have 57 connected networks. 19 of them are either uniquely dual-homed to GRX in Lambda Helix POP. We have 22 100 gig ports and 37 10 gig ports connected to our platform. 16 and 11 of them are connected respectively in our POP in Lambda Helix, contributing significantly on our overall traffic levels. We have more than 2.6 terabit connected capacity, while we experience 300 gigabit of daily traffic. Our current all-time record is 400 gigabps, and hopefully by the end of the year, with the continued support from our members, we will reach half a terabit, bringing GRX in the terabit league exchanges. Concluding today's presentation, I believe that the Athens-3 investment is a very significant development for the area. GRX welcomes such initiatives. We wish best of luck in Lambda Helix new endeavors, and we commit in being a valued partner in the future as well. It is very unfortunate that I was unable to hold this presentation in person. Hopefully, we will see each other soon enough in one of the future meetings and forums. In the meantime, feel free to follow GRNet and GRX on social media. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Economacos, for your messages. Of course, as Lambda Helix, we are very, very happy to have both a significant and neutral exchange in the area in our data centers, CX and GRX. We very much align to the mission of GRX, and we are very happy that we are growing together. So, for the next presentation, we are honored to have here in person Mr. George Nikoloudis, Chief Operating Officer of Optical. International connectivity, of course, is very significant for our data center, for all data centers. And Optical is a key player in the region with fiber northeast, southwest. So this will be it.
Good afternoon to start with. First, allow me to thank our host today, Lambda Helix and Digital Realty. Apostolos, thank you for inviting us in the inauguration event of Lambda Helix 3. And it's okay. And it always has been a pleasure. Just let me find out. I'm George Nikoloudis from Optical, by the way, so apologies for that. So who we are. Optical is an international wholesale carrier, part of Optical Group, supporting Optical Group needs, but mainly supporting every carrier needs in Greece. We operate as an international wholesale carrier since 2000, and we have been established primarily to serve and support carriers in Greece and abroad. we've been recognized over the years as the leading international wholesale carrier in Greece, and more or less our market has voted as the best international wholesale carrier in Southeastern Europe and CIS region. What we do? Basically, we're transporting bits and bytes that all of you are generating. This is our main scope in a way that it always will be reaching where you need to be. And when I'm talking about bits and bytes, I'm talking about the discussion that you make with a friend in London, or the message that you send to your son or to your daughter when he's traveling away. For us nowadays, it seems that the connectivity that we have to offer to all the partner carriers, it's becoming more vital as we're living in a different world from years ago. In the past, we used to talk about the digital reality. Today, we live in one. And I'm not going to discuss about the, I don't know how I explain, the event that we had last week with a major social media carrier, that it was an issue that none of us wants to live by. My son is a 20-year-old student at the University of Patra studying computer science, and the only thing that had to discuss with me over the weekend was that they've missed their company. Everybody has to talk through social media, use the digital world that we live in order to communicate. So companies like Hotel Globe, we deliver the underlying infrastructure for carriers in the national market or in the international market to exchange their data, to exchange their voice minutes, etc., etc. As Hotel Globe, last year we transferred 7 billion voice traffic minutes, and we had an active capacity in our network around 7 tera. How we do that? Over the years, we have deployed a fiber network throughout Europe, starting from Greece and moving all the Balkan path, as we say, to Western Europe, towards Frankfurt, but also crossing from Italy all the way to the major European hubs, Paris, London, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, but also Marseille, Vienna, and other areas where they're very important for the Greek economy, like Sofia, Bucharest. So our main focus was to deliver a redundant, resilient platform at the lowest reaching time to Western European hubs. One of the things that we always share with Lambda Helix was how we can expand and how we can create Greece as a digital hub. Why? International wholesale carriers as data center providers, we share one thing. We need each other, and both of us, we can create the value for each other. We cannot deliver any data if there's no requirements, and data center providers, they cannot host any data if there is no content available. It has been discussions over discussions with Apostolos over the years, how we can create Greece as the next digital hub in the region. And always we had to sit down and scratch our heads, what else we can do. As I said, Hotel Globe invested over the years on network connectivity, both on terrestrial and submarine. And now we are very happy that companies like Lambda Helix investing on the data center Pact in order to expand our current business and business portfolios. Lambda Helix, congratulations on the inauguration of Data Center 3, and hopefully we will be here for Data Center 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nikoloudis, for the presentation and your wishes. So the next presentation, I would like to welcome to the stage Mr. Nikos Babalis from Wind, Chief Information and Transformation Officer. Wind, of course, is one of the leading internet providers and mobile operators in Greece, so your point of view is very significant.
So thank you so much. It is a great honor for me to be here. Congratulations to Apostolos, your team. That's fantastic news. I mean, everyone is talking about the digital transformation, and without the significant investments in the infrastructure domain and the connectivity, we're not able to actually achieve this fantastic goal. I mean, everyone is, I believe, happy to acknowledge the significant progress that has been made in the last 2 years, and we are excited as well. So. Okay, this is a busy slide, but what I would like to highlight here is what is the ranking of our country when it comes to mobile download speeds as well as fixed download speeds. This is the UCLA application information. So on the left hand, you can see the mobile networks in Greece. So this is an average, so you can see that we are ranked in the 17th position. That's not bad at all. However, when you actually consider where we're positioned in the fixed networks, we're actually very close to the 100th place. So that gives you an idea how an investment environment can really make a difference. And actually this can be reflected in the actual results and if not more important, to the experience that the customers are having when they're using a mobile network or a fixed network. And of course, we have the applications that we do need the capacity, the processing capacity at the edge. And of course, the data centers are pivotal to this effort. So that gives you an idea where we are. And obviously, as the telecoms operators community, we have the responsibility to improve these numbers. So I'm going to refer to the 5G, I would say, game changer or hype for some, but I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. So 5G is actually the game changer. Everyone is talking about how 5G will completely change the landscape. There are 3 circles around the 5G, I would say, vision and reality now. One is related to the categories of services that someone can actually experience. So the first one is the enhanced mobile broadband. So in the beginning with 4G, I mean, we realized how important mobile broadband is, and we actually experienced the real thing. So with 5G, that moves to a different scale, and that actually can underpin the applications like gaming, like augmented reality, virtual reality. So that's one of the most important, I would say, elements, and the ones that we are already experiencing as 5G networks are being deployed across the globe. The other area is the massive communications, the IoT mainly. So we can have the capacity, the capability, but also the intelligence in the core network to provide for this type of services. So applications have to do with utilities, with smart cities. So that's another important area. And then the third one is the kind of Star Trek applications, the ones that you have the zero-like latency and the enhanced reliability. And when we're talking, I mean, I'm not going to refer to latency because the people that talked before me actually are experts, and I believe they highlighted the importance. And when it comes to these applications, we're talking about autonomous driving, we're talking about remote surgery, and of course the verticals, manufacturing, this is another key area. And that is actually a good bridge to talk about the other circle, which is the business models. So when we're talking about the disruptive enablement that the 5G technology is offering, in order to capitalize on these opportunities, the business models have to be different. The value chain is becoming longer and thicker, and there are more players that actually can play in that domain. Verticals is one thing. The opportunities, for example, for the data centers to provide services like edge computing. And there are so many players that actually they can intertwine and make the ecosystem more fertile to provide the services and eventually the growth we're talking about. And of course, the other circle is about the enabling technologies. We have all the trendy stuff here. It's about the network slicing, quality of service, edge computing, analytics, especially combined with the edge computing capabilities, and of course, artificial intelligence. So that's the big thing about 5G. Of course, this is a very, I would say, short and brief reference to that. And my last slide is about our actually skin in the game as Wind, what we're planning to do when it comes to investments. I think there is some latency issue. All right, okay, so let's be patient. All right, okay. Well, hopefully this will come through. So my last slide is actually about, okay, here it is, about our investments in the next 5 years. So 5G is key, and we're planning to provide a sort of near ubiquitous coverage and capacity of at least 100 megabit per second, more than 95% population. And this is actually the mobile part of it, while we will continue to invest in fiber to the home projects, and we're planning to bring to life something like 600K fiber lines. And this actually is roughly €500 million in the next 5 years. But okay, network infrastructure is one thing. At the same time, there are other areas that we're planning to invest, like software. Well, the network is becoming software and is already software. That's one area, but it's also about the digital transformation, our digital channels. We're going to invest in automations, technologies like machine learning and AI. We want to expand. And of course, we have our partnership with Lambda, and we're doing all these hybrid cloud solutions. We have started the journey, and I'm sure there is more to come. And I mean, that is a forum for me to share with you some help we would like, not from you guys, but actually it's from the state. I think we have a very, I would say, positive investment environment, which is fantastic. I mean, the main challenge we have is actually the licensing of the last mile, either for digging for fiber or actually installing base stations. This is something that can really accelerate the digital transformation when it comes to the connectivity layer. So this is it really. So thank you so much. Congratulations, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Babalis, for sharing all this information and plans Of course, as a data center operator, we also wait for 5G materialization. We anticipate for it. So next presentation is from Mr. Michalis Yavras, Head of International Business Development at Greek Telecom. So Greek Telecom, as you may know, has an extensive footprint throughout Greece, but also is deploying cross-border and submarine cables. So I expect it will be a significant player in the next years.
Thank you, Andreas. Ladies and gentlemen, dear valuable partners and friends, I'm Michael or Michalis Yavras, Head of International Business Development by Greek Telecom. Allow me to start by stating that it is my honor being here today, together with all of you, for the foundation ceremony of Athens-3 Lambda Helix data center. A remarkable day for Lambda Helix, for digital realty, for actually all of us as business partners of Lambda Helix, taking advantage of the high professional services that they are providing to us and the collaboration that we have with them, some of us many years ago, starting even with Athens-1 data center. A remarkable day also for Greece and the digital transformation of our country. Just a few words about Greek Telecom, as we are a brand new company. Started 2.5 years ago, back in January 2019. We are a 100% subsidiary of the independent power transmission operator of Greece, called IPTO. IPTO is responsible to control, maintenance, operate, and develop the Hellenic electricity transmission system. And we are IPTO's vehicle to provide telecommunication services. So how those services, the telecommunication services, are actually can actually being provided from an electricity network, for this we have to think a new cable technology with an acronym OPGW. OPGW stands for Optical Ground Wire, which is actually a cable that we can see all of us running on the tops of the high voltage electricity pylons located all over Greece. This is a tubular structure cable which contains multiple optical fibers, and it's surrounded by layers of steel and aluminum. It's there actually for his main function, which is grounding the transmission power lines. But due to the optical fibers that contains, it can provide, or via those optical fibers, telecommunication services can be provided. So you can understand that our network footprint is somehow similar with the electricity transmission network. We are already have a network, a fiber optic network, which exceeds 4,000 kilometers throughout Greece, and we plan this network to reach 6,000 kilometers in the next years. This is a combination of terrestrial, if we can call so, since, as mentioned, the OPGW cable, some of us will call it aerial, and submarine cables. And of course, there are interconnections with other neighborhood countries, since our mother company, OPTO, is exchanging power traffic with the transmission system operators of those countries. I have to stay a little bit in Crete. We will discuss the reason also in my last slide, since Crete Island can play a very important role. It's in the Mediterranean Sea. and can attract international submarine cables. So our priority was to connect Crete with the mainland. And we have already put the cable just before summer in service, which connects the south part of Peloponnese with the city of Chania. Additionally, it is planned to have a new cable through IPTO subsidiary called Ariadne Interconnection, which will connect Athens with the city of Heraklion. This will give us the advantage of having two protected cables, actually 4 routes connecting Crete with the mainland territory. One of the key milestones of our company is our participation together with Terna Energy as a consortium in the ultra-fast broadband project in Greece. A project with a budget close to 850 million euros, one actually of the biggest budget, such a project with such a budget, which is a public-private partnership project in Europe, okay? And this is to accelerating actually the deployment of broadband internet in Greece. Only 2 bids were submitted, Crete Telecom and Terna Energy Consortium, and OTE. And as far as I know, during the next week, it will be announced how the 7 lots, the 7 areas, will be divided to the 2 bidders. So, our strategy, our vision, is first of all to make advantage of the already existing interconnections that our mother company has with the transmission system operator of all the neighborhood countries. And of course, via strategic partnerships, we will be able to expand internationally our network and our alternative, unique route to Europe and to major telecommunication hubs. On the other hand, and as mentioned, we see that the bandwidth demands from Asia, Middle East, and Africa are rising. New submarine cables are planned to be laid across the Mediterranean. We want to attract those cables and having their landing station in Crete and in Greece. That will put actually Greece in the position to be a major submarine cable landing station of Eastern Europe, and will allow actually the country to enter the 4th industrial revolution. Because at the end of the day, this is what we are talking about. We want to make this happen. We want to be part of this via strategic partnership like our colleagues for Lambda Helix. Congratulate you once again for helping us making our plans reality, and thank you all of you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Giavras. So, for our next talk, I would like to welcome to the stage with a very special thank you note, because she traveled from Spain just for this event, Mrs. Esther Garces, if I pronounce it correct. Mrs. Garces is CEO of Islalink, who is currently deploying the Ionian cable. And of course, since we do not have so many submarine cables in Greece, every such cable is anticipated by the market with a lot of excitement. So the stage is yours.
Kalispera. Good afternoon to everybody. Ευχαριστώ, Κάρι. Apostolos and all the Diagority and the Helix team. Very happy to be here today. We are new in the market, so maybe I introduce a little bit Islalink and who we are. We are an infrastructure operator, so we build and operate infrastructure for other operators. That's what we do for already 20 years in the market. But today I'm going especially to talk about our new investment in Greece. It's going to be a system called Ionian. It's a submarine cable connecting Preveza with Italy, and also terrestrial networks which will connect the POPs in Milan and Rome in Italy, and Athens and Thessaloniki in Greek side. We are in neutral operator, so we won't compete with our customers, so we will provide services to other operators, content providers, and rest of the players in the market. We are an independent company because we fully owned by an infrastructure fund, a Canadian fund called Fiera, and we will provide pure wholesale services to the market. We've, as mentioned before, we've already been in the market 20 years already. We've deployed and operate more than 4,000 kilometers of submarine fiber. Started with the system connecting the Balearic Island in the Mediterranean, so we really linked with this sea that we are here. But also we developed the Canalinks cable system connecting the Canary Island, and also connections to Morocco, Algeria, and we also participated in the development and the initial design for Elalink cable that was mentioned before, the cable that connects Portugal and Brazil. So in total, we've built and operate 10 landings in all the seas surrounding the Spanish Peninsula. And this is a picture of how it's going to be the footprint of Ionian. The cable is 324 kilometers long, and we will provide 24 fiber pairs. It's on repeaterless cable, so it's going to be long life expected time for the cable, as you know. And we've designed all the lay of the cable that is going to be mostly in deep waters, which will provide additional reliance for the system. So our intent is to provide an alternative and diverse route from the actual terrestrial and submarine ones. So connecting Preveza and Crotone, that might be a diverse also landing point in Italy. And we've designed also diverse routes in both sides, both in Greece and in Italy, to provide the highest robustness in this market. And this is the project timeline. Where we are now is that we've, after the financial closing last May, we've also finished the submarine survey, also started the construction for the cable, and also submitted all the permitting in both countries, Italy and Greece. So now we are in this process of building the rest of the connectivity, and also working with the partners like Landa Helix here that we will be landing in Athens. And we expect to be ready for service next year by November. So I'm deploying the cable by October. And I would like to show some nice pictures of the vessel when we do all the maps, and that allow us to build all the cable. And we're going to provide all the flavors from wavelength to spectrum to fiber, so we will be flexible, and as I mentioned before, we'll be open to everybody. With these 24 fiber pairs, we have virtually unlimited capacity, because with the actual technology, we can manage up to 15 terabytes per second per fiber pair. So I think we can manage to have flexibility for a long term and high capacity. So this is all about Ionian, and thank you very much, all of you. And yes, we are committed with all of you to this incredible growth that we expect. And congratulations and all the best.
Thank you, Mrs. Garces, and good luck with your challenging project. To close this series of last talks, the last one is actually an interview with Mr. Ricardo Ortero from Facebook. The interview was done by our own Mike Hollands, that you have already met. So let's have the video, please.
Hello, Ricardo. Thank you very much for making some time to speak to us today. Could we perhaps start with an introduction from yourself about your role at Facebook?
Thank you, Mike, for the opportunity. So I started at Facebook over 7 years ago, and I am responsible for our submarine network investment strategy in the EMEA region, which starts, I would say, in the east coast of the US and ends in the west coast of India, anything in between.
Okay, and to some people, they may be surprised about the focus that Facebook has on submarine cable systems. What are the reasons Facebook needs to invest so much in submarine cable systems?
I would say that the connectivity between our data centers is part of our core business. And as other hyperscalers, this represents a large amount of traffic, at least in the big international routes like US to Europe or US to Asia. So when we start addressing those markets, we realized that there were not so many investments driven by the carrier industry. I'm talking about 2014, 2015 timeframe, where we saw, like in the case of the transatlantic, more than a 10-year period that no new infrastructure was being developed. And we anticipated some of the existing infrastructure aging. Keep in mind that submarine cables typically last something between 20 to 25 years. So we saw the need to work together with other hyperscalers and other carriers to start to develop a new infrastructure that would secure the development of the connectivity required by the new applications that we foresee will be coming in the mid-20s.
Okay, and some of these systems that you mentioned connect from Africa, from Asia to Europe and come through the Mediterranean. In the past, often to a traditional spot like Marseille. But there's some drivers, aren't there, that you're facing that are leading you to diversify and look for additional locations to drive traffic through?
This is very true, Mike. One of the key elements that you look when you design submarine cables is route diversity and just avoid single point of failures. Marseille has been very successful, and you guys have been very successful in Marseille, developing a very good ecosystem. But the reality is that if you just look at the amount of cables landing in Marseille, this could be a challenge in the future because the route is quite congested. So definitely we see new landings in the Mediterranean showing up as potential new hubs, as is the case of Italy or Spain recently. But other geographies in the region like Greece, definitely we believe that could become potential hubs in the Mediterranean. The other thing that might enable those new geographies to become new hubs is that what we see is that a renovation of the existing submarine cables serving the Mediterranean. If you look at the Mediterranean, there are two kinds of systems. One are what we call the transit systems that are really connecting Europe to the Middle East, Europe to India, Europe to Africa, that they are just want to connect all the traffic back to Europe. But there are other geographies along the Mediterranean, different other countries, that need as well to be served. And this is the need of traffic aggregators. Traditionally, the role of transit and traffic aggregators have been separated. But with the new technology that is available right now in the market, we strongly believe that any new cable crossing the Mediterranean could serve both purposes.
Okay, and there have been cables that land in Greece in the past. Why is now, or in the next coming years, a moment where there could be an inflection point and a change with respect to subsea and Greece?
Well, if we look at the cables that historically has served Greece, like the Med Nautilus cable, those cables were put in service operations almost over 20 years ago. So at the time that those systems were designed, probably were 25 years. And if we just close our eyes and we look at the traffic demand 25 years ago, there was not 3G, there was not 4G, mobile connectivity, there was not fiber to the home in those regions. So basically, right now what we see is that the user demand, the capacity available to any user in any of those countries has increased a factor bigger than 100. So this is one of the things that you need to take into consideration. The other is what kind of terrestrial connectivity that part of Europe has. So, for example, going from Athens back to Europe on a terrestrial route, you need to cross 5, 6 different countries, some of them not even being part of the European Union. And very lengthy terrestrial paths are subject as well to more outages. So this is why the new submarine cable routes that are connecting Greece back to Europe, we believe that they could do that in a more cost-effective way, as well as more reliable.
Okay, great. Well, we certainly look forward to collaborating with you going forward in Marseille, but also in some of the new locations, and we very much hope Greece. So I'd really like to thank you for the time you made for us on this call. I know our colleagues in Greece will be very grateful for your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And it's a pity that I could not attend the nice event that Apostolos and all the team are planning to manage. But unfortunately, we are still under travel ban. Otherwise, I'll be very glad to meet the team in place. I remember last time I met Apostolos was like a submarine cable event in Marseille when we were just watching a soccer play. I believe it was the final. France, after which France won the World Cup.
Okay, well, I'm sure that there'll be a moment to welcome you in Athens very soon. So thanks again, and all the best.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks indeed, Mike, and Facebook for giving us this insight, which is, I believe, really, truly representative of the market thought that we see. And also, this is part of the driving force for us to support our thinking, our investment, our way forward. So, let me take now the opportunity to introduce the next session. It's the one before the last. The last will be the panel, and a very interesting discussion panel. But before that, we will have the pleasure, the real pleasure, of introducing the audience Professor Lex Kurs. Please, Lex, if you could stand up. Of course, I will happily go there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, Lex doesn't like to talk much about himself, but he's a real pioneer with the industry and has helped tremendously the growth and the successes that we have and the operational excellence as a group. So thanks a lot. But your first point of discussion is, of course, the Data Center Pact. So, please.
So, thank you very much for staying here, listening to me as well. When you're 22 years with a company, that gives you some privileges. And I will take that privilege now. So, Apostolos, if you could please take here the seat in the middle. There's no escape, my good man. So, everybody knows Apostolos as the creative brain behind Lambda Helix. Everyone knows him as the CEO and the guy who puts Greece basically on the start of the digital economy. But what you don't know is that he is also has been leading the largest trade association, international trade association called the EUDCA. It started with Bernard Leukenu, who started this initiative to get, let's say, all the large players like Interaction, like Digital Realty, like Telecity, like Global Switch, together in one room. That partly succeeded until they basically invited Apostolos to take the position of the chair and the CEO of the EUDCA. And only because of the way he works with people, the way he inspires people, the way he can bring trust between these fierce competitors, we all came together and we all started to talk about sustainability and later to the Pact, what I will talk about. So, Apostolos, thank you so much for your contribution to this. I know you recently said, I give the stick to someone else. I stayed as the chair for the policy committee. But again, thank you so much, Apostolos. Please. So sustainability is a serious matter. As I mentioned before, I'm the chair for the policy committee of the EUDCA. And in that position, I am doing a lot of talking to the EU ministers. We do consultations for legislation. All the requests are coming in. I coordinate this within my group, and then we ask people to participate, and if there's no one else, then typically I do it myself. But this is really important stuff. Coming together as a consortium of, let's say, operators to work together. The second position I have is a board position at the Climate Neutral Data Center Pact. Because, sorry, that's a bit too early. Because what happened is that in 2020, there was an agreement that in 2030, all data centers should be climate neutral on the scope 2. Scope 2. And so, if we leave that to the EU ministers and their consultants, we knew that would be a challenge. So, Apostolos, thank you again also for picking up this initiative. Asked everyone to come together as a group, together with CISPI, the large cloud providers, and basically create a consortium, the Climate Neutral Data Center Pact. I will talk about this later. First, I will talk about the goals and objectives we have as Digital Realty, as a global company. So, we have something called science-based targets. So we can measure, we can really drive down the carbon emissions of our company. And we are committed reducing scope 1 and 2 across the globe with 68% and the scope 3 with 24%. Fabrice, my friend from leading France, he's already at 0. So he's already 100% climate neutral. He's ahead of the curve of everyone. Typically in our industry, the scope 2, the 68% in Europe, we already close. So for instance, interaction, we are at 100% already for a few years, already on clean energy. We take sustainability as a social corporate responsibility extremely serious. It's our duty to make sure that we grow fast, that we create the digital economy, but it's also important that we leave the planet as unharmed as we can. This is about our global targets. On top of that, as I mentioned, we had this one, 2050, Brussels 2019, 100% carbon neutral 2015. But this is the one that was actually more important. February 2020, to become climate neutral by 2030 with our industry. Coming together as the Pact, we agreed that we needed to work on this, not only on this part. So we created something that we called the self-regulatory framework. And the self-regulatory framework we brought to the EU minister, Minister Timmermans, and we asked him, is it okay if we self-regulate ourselves? So he said, he looked at the program, and the program consists of energy efficiency. In 2025, all full load data centers in the cold climate shall run at a PUE target of 1.3. This is operational PUE. So you need to have a design PUE of something like 1.2 to actually achieve this, because there's always some losses, there's always some leakages somewhere. It's very hard to go to 1.3. And for the hotter climates, 1.4. 2030, this would also count then for all the older data centers. So we expect to see over time, the coming 10 years, major retrofits on this topic to actually achieve those numbers. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is clean energy. As I mentioned before, 75% renewable energy by 2025 and 100% by 2030. For us, there's a tick in the box. For the large players, it is typically a tick in the box. But there are many hundreds of smaller providers, data center owners, for whom it will be more difficult. And we will, as the Climate Neutral Data Center Pact, united, we will help to guide them, give them ideas. We are talking to the EU for, let's say, special tariffs for them as everything, because we believe it's important that everyone will have access to, let's say, clean energy. The third pillar. The third pillar is about water. So my other role within the company at Interaction is I'm leading the EMEA Sustainability and Government Engagement Committee. And when I started looking at water usage already in 2012, I started looking at the EU websites, and already in 2012 they were talking about serious concerns about water usage, not per se from our data centers, but more from industry. We are using a lot of water to do whatever industry we need to do. So when we look now at our data center industry, we committed, and it's simply, you can even just look at the picture, we will grow the IT, but we will decrease the water usage. That's a very important milestone. So we're now working on the KPIs. We're now coming up soon with the KPI how to measure. We could use the water use effectiveness previously from the green grid, but we believe there should be another metric where you also talk about raw water, where you talk about industrial water, or let's say recycled water. So everything will go into the mix, and we take this, again, very serious as well. The other one is the circular economy. So it's all about 100% recycling of the IT equipment, the server equipment. Also, all the parts you will have, for instance, in your UPSs all the electronics, everything should be recycled. And if possible, please repair and reuse. The target is set for 2025 to come up, let's say, with a very clean, clear target. It's not as easy. It sounds simple, but because we have to overlook the complete data center industry, it's not that easy. But we will be there in 2030. And last but not least, there's the circular energy system. This is the most complex one we can talk about. Because actually what they say, we want you to reuse the data center heat. Because they believe it's an opportunity. Well, many people have invested years ago, for instance, in indirect air data centers. So what they do, they take the air from the outside, they go through a heat exchanger and put it inside. And if the temperature outside is too hot, they start a compressor to cool it down. Simple as that. There is not much energy reuse from those types of data centers. But these people have made a large investment, so we need to give them time to actually recover from this, because otherwise it would be unfair. If you have chilled water systems like we have at our data centers, it's easier. But the challenge again is, we bring the data center water to the IT equipment with 20 Celsius, and it returns with 30, 31. That is considered a low caloric energy, something very difficult to reuse, especially if you want to transport it. So now, in certain countries, they say, you know what you should do? You should use a heat pump and then boost it up to 60, 70, 80 Celsius, because then you can reuse it. But if you think about our industry, we do everything to basically run on free cooling. So we don't want to use compressors. We don't want to use F-gas, because that's all an issue. Around 2023, F-gas becomes even a bigger issue. So all of those things are contradicting with each other. And in my belief, the only way out, if you want to have high caloric water, is for everyone to go liquid to the chip. Because now I can bring water from 30, 35 to the IT equipment, and I remove it, and the water is 50, 60 Celsius. So I don't need compressors anymore, I don't need F-gas anymore. That for me would be a reason to go for liquid cooling, not per se for the capacity, because capacity I can do a 100 kilowatt rack, I can cool it with air, as long as the density on the chip does not exceed the 300 watts. Because that is the issue. It's not the issue to have 80 kilowatts in a rack, because I just put more air. That's the issue. But to really deal with this, so this circular energy system, that is really the most difficult topic for the coming years to work on. And we welcome also all the NTAs. We have basically all the NTAs also connected to the Pact. They support us, they're working on all of that, and I believe that we as an industry are showing leadership, and we will make this happen. And basically, that is it. There is money available. There is a recovery fund, for instance, as I mentioned, for those who will have to transform their data center to carbon neutral or to that low PUE. There's a 750 billion earmarked. It's not all for the data centers, but there is definitely a serious part available there. The new Green Deal, it's the 2 trillion. Everyone is jumping on it to find ways to get a part of it. All with that, I would like to leave it here. I think that's enough. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.
If you may take a seat so you can contribute to our next panel with your expertise. As both a leading expert in the world in these subjects, but also as our engineering director for Europe and not only. So let me take the opportunity to invite the rest of the panel please, Rob. Rob McKernan, Senior VP, Schneider Electric. I will let everyone introduce themselves during the first course. Okay. Jim Craig from Schwartz. Greg, sorry. Dimitris Kantaros, our Operations VP. And Yannis Noulis, our DCICS Director. First of all, we are a little out of schedule, so I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. But if there is interest from the last heroic team here, we can go on as long as it's necessary for all answers to be given. So I will not be pushing it, but it's important that in the first 20-30 minutes we actually cover the subject that we gathered here to do. And before we start, I would like to give, Schneider Electric and Schwartz have honored us with their support for this event, and I would like to also to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves and their companies and their interaction here with us. And I will start with playing a video from Schneider Electric before giving the microphone to Rob.
The world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rob McKernan from Schneider Electric. I am responsible for the data center group here in Europe, based in Paris. It's a real pleasure to be sitting on the stage with the partners from Lambda Helix and from Interaction, a partner of Schneider Electric for over 16 years. And it's great to see the groundbreaking event here in Athens-3. As it said, we want to be the digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. And sometimes inside the data center group, are those two things one and the same, or are they conflicting? Well, by having partners like Lambda Helix, we believe we can do that, and we can do that effectively. And Athens is a great, great spot for this to happen. It's always a pleasure following Lex Kors when he talks about the future around sustainability. We want to work, and we do work with Lex and the engineering teams on how do we help with the design of that data center. We're there trying to provide the products, the software, and the solutions that are more efficient. And of course, during the operations of the data center, how do we help ensure the operations meet the goals that that design had? It's interesting. The best thing that we do, in my opinion, is have great partners like Lambda Helix. They challenge us continuously to do better for them so they can do better for you, their customers. And it's a relationship, again, over 16 years that's worked really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Jim, if you
Yes.
take the stage.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Craig. I'm the managing director of Schwartz Technic. We don't actually have a video, but having seen your one, I think we should probably make one because it's quite a nice way of telling you what the company does. Yes, so I suppose effectively we are the insurer of last resort with regards to power. We deliver critical power solutions for critical infrastructure, be it data centers or hospitals or airports or anything else that really requires a stable source of power when all else fails. We have been doing that together with Interaction for many, many years now. Along the way, we've grown and learned a lot, and are proud to work with them throughout Europe and Africa. We have those things called diesels, and diesels and sustainability are not two words that you typically hear in the same sentence. But one of the big challenges we have is to demonstrate that the diesels will be a stable, trusted power source, and in the future, hopefully, a sustainable power source as a backup for data centers to enable them to continue to deliver their trusted services to their customers along the way. So we look forward to being here for the first time in Athens with Lambda Helix, and we hope to be able to deliver the same kind of solutions that we've delivered to Interaction and Digital and others throughout, as I say, throughout Europe and Africa. So pleased to be here.
Thanks a lot, Jim. As you already said, we're trying always to balance sustainability and availability. Of course, availability, traditionally, when I tour a data center with customers, I always say availability comes first. Of course, we want sustainability. Of course, we also want low operational cost, but first is availability. Let me start, by the discussion of this panel by the first component, availability. And taking into account the situation, that the trigger of today's event is the groundbreaking of Athens-3, and with John being along, of course, and working with the DTEC team and the global team that Lex leads, what is the design considerations for availability about Athens-3 and generally going forward?
Okay. Regarding Athens-3...
Yanis, sorry, because I didn't introduce you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm Yanis Noulis, for those that they don't know me. I'm the director of Lambda Helix for integration and construction and consulting services. About Athens-3, we had the same approach like in the previous data centers. Our compass, our design framework is based on Uptime Institute. This was our leading benchmark to meet the requirements of availability for Athens-3. The target is 5 nines also here. You know that Lambda Helix team is the most experienced team in Greece. We have accomplished and completed 90% of the certifications in the region in Greece, and we have also been involved in certification in other countries. So for us, it was a straightforward thing to move forward also for the availability, having in mind the uptime. Of course, now we have this opportunity and the luck to have Lex and his team in our group and to be, colleagues with the team there. So on top of that, we're implementing, with the help and the assistance of the team of Lex, reliability studies. So we go a little bit further, we go a little bit deeper than the uptime goes. And so we can, with these reliability studies, we identify any risks or any single point of failures or any failure modes in the design. So we make sure and we ensure that the 5 nines are from the design to the operation, they're there and we meet them. So thank you, Lex, for being here. We are feeling very privileged to be part of this team and to have this team also supporting us. So
the road to perfection never stops, it seems.
Yeah.
Rob, you are a big part of, your company, of a lot of the components and the systems and the integration of this. How do you view availability in Schneider Electric?
Well, certainly when it comes to this data center environment, reliability and availability are paramount. They're everything. And It's back to that partnership piece I mentioned, where when we're doing the design of our products, we actually bring in folks that are sitting up here to help us with that next generation design. So you know that for years now, it's been a focus on reliability, availability, but again, a testament to Athens too, it's always been around sustainability as well and getting there. And we referenced Paris and Marseille a few minutes ago and how it's already at carbon neutral. It shows that it can be done without sacrificing any of the uptime needs that you all have as customers. So these things are no longer, maybe years ago they were counterbalanced or off kilter, but now I think it's really going forward. And now, Lex mentioned circular economy. That's the big thing we're focusing on all the manufacturing of our components. We're working with the raw material manufacturers and making sure that they have the same sustainability type metrics and goals of all the components that go into our products that'll go into the Lambda Helix data center. So now it's becoming a full circle. So it's not just what the design and build, it's each of the components going in. And so that generational improvement is going to continue every year, every 2 years, et cetera.
It's an interconnected world. So obviously it's an interconnected situation within the data center with a lot of initiatives. Jim, I always say to my customers when I also take them in a tour, diesels are the last resort.
Yes.
Yeah, if this fails, everything fails. Okay. So we never underestimate them. And so having experience on this, what's your take and what is the design criteria and the choices they have to make to help all this availability to the part that you influence take place on the field, in the ground, in installations that you do?
I suppose the two things. Availability, I mean, clearly, as the last resort, we have to be available when required. And, from the very, very beginnings right up until where we are today, there's just a huge amount of detailed planning and work and testing and trying to understand what needs to be redundant, what's the likelihood that something will fail, just to ensure that, at that moment that it does need to work, then it really does work. So again, at the extent of kind of repeating some of the things that Robert has actually said, that are focused throughout the design and engineering, together with, in this case, the DTEC team, is essential in ensuring we achieve that level of availability.
Good. So I heard before, as we were preparing that there is an initiative, the Road to Zero or something like that. I don't know, Lex, if you may elaborate on that to educate us a little.
Yeah. Let me quickly also talk about availability, if I'm okay. So 5 times basically would mean 5 minutes per year downtime. That's not what you want. Yeah. What you also don't want is, let's say, 1,000 times 13 milliseconds down. It's also not what you want. So what we did in 2001, we started with Monte Carlo simulations, because Fault 3 didn't give us the satisfying results. Monte Carlo simulations, dynamic studies, will show you, let's say, the statistical availability of a system. And looking at that, then suddenly the availability of a single component becomes less important. Yeah, it's a nuisance if it trips, and if it trips too much, then it really becomes an issue, because then you need to inform your customer. But as such, that single component should never be the issue. That's the one. So on the road to zero, we see, let's say, a trend. We see people talking about we should remove the diesel engines. Okay? But what is the alternative? So some people come to us and they say, you should run on gas, CHP. Well, brilliant. I'm now running 100% on clean energy, then I will be running 100% on fossil fuels. So now I need to offset. That doesn't work for us. So then we have the story about hydrogen. Hydrogen, brilliant, but green hydrogen is not yet available. So transport of green hydrogen, truck, the Hindenburg, whatever, that doesn't work. You cannot transport millions of liters of hydrogen in a truck over the road to your pipe systems. If you want to run fuel cells, you need to have very clean hydrogen, otherwise your membrane will wear out in a few years, maybe in 8 years. So gas pipes are so polluted, you cannot use it. So what I said to Jim, I said, listen, I said, I want you to come up with the diesel engine in such a way that I don't need to start it at all. Only this one time when the grid fails. I said, as a matter of fact, if I know that typically my grid fails in Europe for half an hour, I will even put maybe 2 hours of batteries in between. And if then even it takes longer than 2 hours, then I want to start the diesel engines. Well, in the industry, that's not heard of. You know, people say in the industry, no, you need to test, you need to start the engine, see if it works. I said, that's not the answer. I want you to come up with a solution. And actually, they started looking at it, and I must say it was reasonably brilliant. We're now working in the details, but you like to explain a little bit what you did on that?
Yes, so I mean, quite apart from the initial request, which was, you know, we don't want to start and run the diesels, which, you know, was clearly raising the bar slightly higher than we'd initially anticipated. Having said that, you know, you just have to try and break down the problem into smaller elements and understand, well, how can we test all the component elements to a degree such that we're able to basically, you know, guarantee that the system in its entirety will actually work. And, you know, it takes a bit of innovative thinking. We then went to our engine partners and told them this is what we wanted to do, and their initial reactions were obviously, well, you can't do that. And then a month or so later, they came back and said, well, actually, you know, you could start to think about it like this and this. So, you know, I think we've started to create a bit of momentum in that direction. I think they see that this is a great way to, you know, to prolong for an extended period the use of what is ultimately a very reliable method of generating power in an emergency.
Yeah, and so Mitsubishi is the first engine manufacturer who really stood up and said, okay, we'll work with you on this. So if this succeeds, then the diesel generator will be the cleanest of all backup systems, because if it would run for 1,000% of a year, cleaner than that you can't have. So we're working on it, because think about it, replacing that big park of gigawatts, billions of investment, bad idea. There's no additional revenue against it, so we need to come up with a solution.
Yeah. This is really outside the box thinking, huh?
Yeah.
And I hope the industry catches up fast. Good. Let me take this further, because we had sustainability and availability. Of course, sustainability, the green, you covered a lot in your presentation, Alex. So I will try to be brief here in the interest of time. So, and we also covered it in this session too, as part of the circular energy and how we're handling not one problem at the time, but all the problems at the same time, at the most, as much as possible at least. But I would like some comments on sustainability from Europe, and then maybe you can also, from an operations perspective, Dimitris, add what is your experience and how we have dealt with this on the sustainability part, and then we can talk also about operation regarding availability.
Yeah, I think they're linked, actually. So on one hand, I think there's been a lot of great work on the design. Lex and people like him designing a more sustainable data center and continuing improving upon that. On the second hand, as I mentioned earlier, I think manufacturers like Schneider Electric are working on the full circular economy. We measure everything. Every building that has people in, we measure our carbon footprint. We measure the entire piece of all our products, our manufacturing facilities. We even measure the amount of carbon emissions from our sales force with their company cars and things like that. So the point I'm making here is we believe that the key for real sustainable goals is on measurement. And it really kind of touches upon the operation of data centers, whether it's the data centers that Lambda Helix and Interaction work for you, or your on-premise IT. Are you measuring your carbon footprint, your output there? I think that's the key that most companies, when we're going around, because Schneider is looking at sustainability for the entire enterprise, most companies are struggling to start because they don't know how to measure. And if once you at least get a baseline and understanding what you're doing, then there's strategies and things that we can put in place, whether it's operations of your buildings, of your manufacturing facilities, or of course of data centers. I think that is the #1 key that we tell all our clients. Start there first, then we can work with you to put a plan in place.
The old engineering saying, to measure is to improve.
Exactly.
No measurement, no improvement.
Yep.
Thanks for that. Dimitris, any comment on this?
Okay, let's...
Because you are an expert in measurements.
Okay, so my name is Dimitris Kantaros, and I'm leading the operations, data center operations of Lambda Helix. What I want to say, I will discuss about sustainability and availability at the same time. And what I want to say is that design, equipment selection, and construction and commissioning are the components that is the foundation for the sustainability and the availability. But there is a last component that if you do not put this, you cannot fulfill the requirements, and this is the operations. And we know this very well here in Lambda Helix. We operate, as you heard, Apostolos, 18 years with 0 downtime. And also during this year, we have achieved 40% reduction of our PUE. That is really incredible.
Quite an achievement, yes.
And how we achieve this? With experienced engineering, processes, procedures, and of course, with partnerships. So we have a long partnership with Schneider, and we have engineers that are certified, and they provide support for our data center and also for the data center of third parties that we support. Of course, under this scope, we're going to have a partnership with SWAT, and we're going to have also certified engineers in order to achieve these targets. On top of this, now we have a great opportunity because we have a layer of interaction that they have more than 20 years experience in data center operation and service, and that gives us another boost in order to achieve the required availability and sustainability.
Thanks a lot, Dimitris.
So I think it's important to say that Schneider Electric, on the field of sustainability in the scope 3, is way ahead of the other players in this field. Many are just starting to look at resources. Many starting to look at also people. You know, how do I bring them to the factory? What's the distance? You know, travel, as Rob mentioned. It's really amazing because they make a major investment to run these programs, and still, you know, they manage to be competitive in the field, and a lot of respect for that.
No, I appreciate that. For us, it's something didn't start this year. It's something that started 10, 12 years ago. It has really been a focus. And again, surrounding ourselves with partners like Lambda Helix and Interaction who share a lot of common practices in that vision is really nice. And we like working with partners like you so we can help mutual clients.
Good.
And if they crack the nut,
then it raises the bar even more for companies like Schneider.
Rob, we share a passion. I mean, we also have, we understand that the world is hybrid, and it's going to be maybe forever, but certainly for many years. Meaning that there are colocation providers like us that attract a lot of people, a lot of loads, IT loads, and we need all this sustainability and efficiency and availability to offer them the best service available. But on the other hand, there are still on-premises data centers that need to be combined with the big installations like ours, so they get to their users the required level of service at the required cost level. And I can be talking for hours about this, especially, I mean, because the hybrid is not only about this level I described, but it's also private cloud versus public cloud, which we are also working on. But I would like to understand your approach on a hybrid role.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time around the world, but especially here in Europe with the explosion of data, right? We've talked about it throughout the afternoon here, where data is exploding from manufacturing processes and healthcare institutions, and of course, all of us on our phones and our devices. So how we manage that and how as a company, as enterprise companies is becoming more and more crucial. I think part of it goes to large data centers like Athens-3, which is going to be very helpful as you outsource certain processes to the cloud. But you also have to have a very specific edge strategy at home, where even latency is even more important and has to be even closer to the customer. So we're seeing major corporations in banking, in retail, and then mostly in manufacturing, car industries, where they're really taking the lead and understanding what are they going to outsource to the cloud, what are they going to keep in-house, and how do they manage both those environments and do it seamlessly. Obviously, sustainability is one way, but the reliability and availability of this hybrid cloud is increasingly important, as I see throughout Europe, and then obviously where the data goes, data protection. So I think it's a great opportunity for companies like Lambda Helix and for Interaction. It's a great opportunity for all of us, but again, it requires having a really thoughtful strategy on how you move forward with that. And again, companies like Lambda Helix are the leaders here in Greece in helping companies handle that, right? So it's key.
Thanks for the nice comments, but we're trying to do our best in this market, but we always welcome the global experience that guys like you bring, all the team here.
Let me say, because you're too humble.
No, okay.
You run your facility for 18 years without failure. So that's amazing. That's really, that's really amazing. So, you can be very proud of that.
We are.
And as a matter of fact, I told you before, we learn from you as well. You remember? Because the passion that you put into your PUE project, where you run, let's say, your DX compressors to such a low PUE. Hey,
amazing.
We learn from you guys. With that passion, with that commitment, we as a big company can save millions if we follow you. And we will.
We have this motto in Lambda Helix. We say data center is like Formula One. You can have the best car, the best components from the good partners. You can have the best design team, construction team, etc. But you need also to have a good operation. So all this should be work together, And this is, I think, the outcome to have this amazing result, as you already mentioned. If I may, I may also give some hints about sustainability in Lambda Helix before Lex and after Lex, maybe. Well, we had the Athens-2, the first data center in the world that it was certified by LEED to the gold level in 2015. So in our design framework, availability sustainability is in the heart of this. So we've been there, and sustainability is in our minds, it's in the center. In Athens-3 also, we are targeting the same thing. We want to have a minimum the gold level, also for LEED certification. And of course, with the team and the Lex help, we are perceiving that the next years we are going to set the bar even higher. But the secret of that, the ingredients, what we are thinking is, I think it's two components. One part is internally, we have this global approach. We have a global team. It's a hybrid model that leverages the global know-how with the local expertise. This is the one part, the internal part within the group. And the second thing is collaboration with partners, good partners like Schneider and Zwart, and all these years that they are supporting us. So as they say, competition makes us faster, but partnerships makes us better. So this is the idea, I think, the rationale behind that.
Well said.
Thanks, so. So, any questions from the audience at this time? So, if there is any closing remark from any of you, I would be glad to hear it.
Well, I just want to say on behalf of Schneider Electric, thank you for having us. The day was exciting, and I look forward from a year from now where there's a big building over there, and I think there'd be a hole right here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the target.
This would be the hole, and
Yes,
that's a good day to look forward to as well.
Hopefully, we'll have enough space, which I cannot guarantee. Maybe we'll have
smaller
everything,
tent.
so we can avoid tents and be inside.
Yeah.
But if not, we will have bought the next land to be ready for the next. We'll find a solution as always. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, I think I was hugely, well, I learned a lot today. I think that was probably the first thing I would say. You see just how much traffic is going to come through Athens in the future. I think you probably need to go buy some more land quite quickly because you have a lot to do here.
We never think after the fact. We think 3 to 5 years before. So
Yeah.
we had this land for years already.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, I understand that we are okay.
Very exciting.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate your presence and your support.
My party
I
just doesn't want to add something, just to thank all the partners and the clients that are here today and celebrating with us this great milestone for Lambda Helix. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks for your, για την υπομονή σας που είσαστε μέχρι τώρα εδώ. Okay. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
Lex.
I've been speaking enough, so I leave the closing words to my colleagues from Lambda Helix. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support. They will be happy to see you in every opportunity.